Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, has attributed the delay in Dangote Refinery's fuel and diesel distribution scheme to truck numbering. According to IPMAN's national president, Abubakar Maigadi, the refinery is currently numbering its trucks and will commence the scheme within a week. There are controversies around that statement, however, and we're going to get into it with our guest, Abdulmajeed, the MD of Deers Nigeria. Thank you for joining us this morning.
To be here.
Yes, a pleasure to have you in. So over 2 weeks ago, following the initial announcement, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery had taken delivery of more than 2,000 CNG trucks, but we haven't seen them kick off nationwide delivery on August 15th as they publicized. So what's the story around this? What is happening? Why the delay?
Yeah, I mean, these are natural delays, but I would have thought that the Dangote operations team must have factored in, for example, numbering and registering of their trucks. 4,000 is a large number, so you must have planned for the way you want to do this so it's efficient without prematurely announcing anything. But more importantly, it might just be part of the process of negotiation and engagement, just to buy some time, because I don't think anybody who's importing 4,000 trucks would not know that he has to register them. Even if the platform was slow, you would factor this in. Dangote has demonstrated efficiency in multiple fronts. So I feel like what's happening is that private sector associations are all engaging, and what would come out of this would be some kind of collaboration, cooperation, partnership, and so on. So I think that's what's going on. And like IPMAN has said, in a few days, in a week or so, then the rollout would commence.
And we know that it's been quite a bit since this announcement came from Dangote Refinery. Some people are adjusting, some people are shifting. We saw that initial pushback, right? Especially, concerns around depot owners, what it means for them, importers, and, there were concerns around monopolistic tendencies of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. Walk us through just how much has changed downstream since that initial announcement till now.
Yeah, so let's not say what has changed, is what is changing. So things are changing. What we're seeing is there are different stakeholders, all the way from the ordinary Nigerians all to the top, to the depot owners. There are fear of job losses, and people losing their own franchise. But I feel like more engagement and communication, transparent communication would lead to one that will work for all. For the ordinary Nigerians, the Dangote's direct-to-outlet plan holds a lot of promise for cheaper fuel, more efficiency, and more importantly, availability of fuel. So for small businesses, it could mean that there are new opportunities. You have companies like Tetracore Energy positioning to provide autogas, CNG support to the Dangote fleet, and other small companies who are coming in as last-mile distribution innovators, logistics companies, more CNG adoption. So what we're finding is that this is actually the direction that government wanted this policy to push the stakeholders in. And it's important for government to also, keep watch of how things are turning out, so that, there is fairness across how the decisions are made. And it's interesting to see how, the credit facility as well in Dangote would kind of cause for unionizations, where people will come together in cooperatives to kind of, purchase products and so on. And I understand that there's been some cooperation up to the level where the existing distributors are saying that Dangote would focus on transporting products to wholesale buyers, while they still, focus on distributing to the main retailers at the last mile. And since Dangote will be covering some other aspects that they had maybe had challenges covering, they would now focus on the underserved, areas. So what will happen is that distribution would expand, more areas would have access, new opportunities will open up. Then upskilling of the and reskilling of the existing, workforce across the distribution, who might, see the new opportunities, in Dangote's fleet. 4,000 trucks needs drivers, attendants, auto centers, mechanics, maintenance, all of these things, would come into play. And this is what is possible, when progress happens. I don't think we should not fight it. Let's allow private sector do what it does best, and businesses should position themselves. But the average Nigerian should know that there's still going to be a little bit of instability, and one move cannot determine a drop in price just like that. There are other factors that would play, that would determine what the eventual price will continue to be moving forward.
Okay, so you're basically saying we should manage our expectations. We'll get into that a bit more, Abdulmajeed, after this break, so stay with us.
Thank you.
You're still watching Business Edge, and of course we do have Abdulmajeed, MD of Deers Nigeria, with us, providing insight on perhaps the reason for the delay with the August 15th deadline that Dangote Refinery did set for the direct distribution of petroleum to the end users, and of course the developments within the downstream sector. What changes for the consumer, more importantly? Thank you for staying with us, Abdulmajeed.
Thank you.
Right. Before the break, I sort of picked up on you somewhat managing the expectation of the consumer. A lot of consumers are considering that, okay, this is going to perhaps reduce petrol costs, considering depot owners, the middlemen were considered the issue. It was considered that they were adding added cost. And now that this arrangement is believed to somewhat eliminate them, I hear you say that somewhat, and you can clarify on this, that the prices may not change. Why is this?
So I'm saying that the prices may not change the way we're all imagining it. I'm a Nigerian myself. I want the prices at the pump to be 200 naira, to be 50 naira, really. But what I'm trying to say is that what determines the prices at the pump is much more than just 4,000 CNG trucks have arrived and they've eliminated the distributors and so on. What is actually happening is that efficiency is coming into play and inefficiency is being eliminated. Efficiency definitely leads to cost savings and benefits at the end for the end user, right? And that is what we're expecting, But again, there is reality as well, and these are livelihoods. These are businesses that must, claim a share to remain in business. So they would all negotiate to remain in business. But at the end of the day, Dangote as well also has a business to run, and he would obviously, charge a price that allows him to remain in business, and so on, because the sector is deregulated, and like I said, efficiency does lead to cost savings and it will lead to a better price, but it's not like a silver bullet. At the moment we have CNG trucks delivering and they've eliminated these guys, we're just going to see a massive price drop. What you would see is continuous, management and improvement in efficiency to ensure that the best price is passed on to the end consumers.
Right. So, it's a huge capital expenditure from the refinery, 4,000 CNG trucks, about 720 billion naira spent on that. And from what the data we have, the refinery is basically absorbing more than 1.07 trillion every year in fuel logistics expense, considering CNG is considered a cheaper alternative in transportation. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for the end consumer. But it's a laudable decision. There are still concerns about the risk involved in this move, transporting petrol, CNG trucks, via road across long distances, because it said that they will reach rural areas. Are there any safeguards to be taken here, risk management in this move?
Yeah, Dangote's the company Dangote is usually known for using the best technology, right? Now there are technologies available there that kind of limit spillage of trucks even after an accident, and protect the product within the truck even when an accident has occurred. So yes, and if you notice, before now, there's been Dangote has been involved in road constructions in some strategic areas and stuff like that. So what we're seeing is, again, an opportunity for government to provide, better roads for these trucks, because they will not fly. They have to be driven on the roads new roads do not come with new trucks. So it's the existing roads that these trucks will still, have to ply at the end of the day. So it's a combination of multiple things that would ensure that the risk is managed. And it is important to also note that the total amount of trucks that were available before these 4,000 trucks have come in were not even that much. So what we're going to find is a whole lot more trucks on the road, and there could be risks associated with that, but there are ways to manage them. There are advanced, ways to manage them from duration management, to kind of knowing when trucks should be on the road to avoid, congestion with other regular vehicles, also kind of maybe arranging specific routes for trucks so that they're not kind of in the way of regular day-to-day activities of the users of the roads. And yeah, generally the traffic must step up, in managing, more trucks on the road. But the state of the roads is the major risk. And I think it's an opportunity for government to do something about it, and maybe Dangote to continue to take advantage of the tax support that comes with, building the concrete roads.
All right,
and so on.
Yeah, infrastructure perhaps being the solution. Finally, we know that this is a step in the right direction. What do you perceive being the future of fuel distribution in Nigeria, especially when it comes to aligning with global best practices for more cost-efficient and safer methods? What do you see being the future?
That's a very, very good question. So really, the future of fuel distribution in Nigeria is one that will be driven by technology, that will be managed by data to ensure that supply and demand is matched properly. It will be one that would involve, an expansion of infrastructure, because what we're finding, for example, petroleum products to filling stations ideally should at the larger miles should be kind of transported by rail. And this is something I know that the government is already is in this direction to provide. And I think, again, like I said, it will be about technology, it will be about data, and it will be about matching supply with demand, properly. Look at the cooking gas, for example. The roadside, guys will have heaps of cylinders. The future is not, having roadside people with heaps of cylinders, delivering cylinders where you're driving by the road and you can almost smell, the smell of you can smell the LPG while, driving past because someone is refilling by the roadside. What will be happening is that there will be more corporate and more formal technology-driven companies providing last-mile energy distribution to homes and offices where it's needed the most at the time it's required to ensure reliability and efficiency across the chain down to the last mile.
All right, thank you very much for your perspective on the show. Abdulmajeed Amussah, founder, Dares Nigeria.
Thank you very much.